channel. My name is Nyasha. If it's your first time here, welcome. If it's not your first time, welcome back. I'm not going to be sitting in front of a camera today, but I just thought that I would drop a video. So we're going to be talking about whether or not Christians should celebrate Valentine's Day. So I'm just going to give you some information, and then you can go and do your own research, and then you can pray about it so that you can hear directly from the Lord. But one thing is sure, He does not want you acting like the world and celebrating things that are intrinsically pagan. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be talking about the origins of Valentine's Day. So, it was based on a holiday or a festival known as Lupercalia back in ancient Rome. So Lupercalia was an ancient pagan festival held each year in Rome between 13 and 15 February. And although Valentine's Day shares its name with the martyred Christian saint, some historians believe the holiday is actually an offshoot of Lupercalia. And like Valentine's Day, however, Lupercalia was a bloody, violent, and sexually charged celebration awash with animal sacrifice, random matchmaking, and coupling in the hopes of warding off evil spirits and infertility. So again, this was intrinsically pagan. Like the whole thing is based on pagan origins. No one knows the exact origin of Lupercalia, but it has been traced back as far as the 6th century BC. According to Roman legend, the ancient king Amulius ordered Romulus and Remus, his twin nephews, the founders of Rome, to be thrown into the Tiber River to drown in retribution for their mother's broken vow of celibacy. The servants took pity on them, however, and placed them inside a basket on the river instead. Does that sound familiar? The river god carries the basket and the brothers downriver to a wild fig tree where it became caught in the branches. The brothers were then rescued and cared for by a she-wolf in a den at the base of Palatine Hill where Rome was founded. The twins were later adopted by a shepherd and his wife and learned their father's trade. After killing the uncle who had ordered their death, they found the cave den of the she-wolf who had nurtured them and named it Lupercal. It's thought that Lupercalia took place to honor the she-wolf and please the Roman god of fertility, Lupercus. The twins were... Lupercalia rituals took place in few places. Lupercalia rituals took place in a few places. Lupercal Cave on Palatine Hill within the Roman open air public meeting place called the Comitium. The festival began at Lupercal Cave with the sacrifice of one or more male goats, a representation of sexuality, and a dog. Sacrifices were performed by Luperci, I think, a group of Roman priests. Afterwards, the foreheads of 2 naked Luperci were smeared with the animal's blood using the bloody sacrificial knife. The blood was then removed with a piece of milk-soaked wool as the Luperci laughed. That is the 2 priests, right? In ancient Rome, feasting began after the ritual sacrifice. When the feast of Lupercal was over, the Luperci cut strips, also called thongs of fibrua, of goat hide from the newly sacrificed goats. Then they ran naked or nearly naked around Palatine Hill, whipping any woman within striking distance with the thongs, that is the strips of goat hide. During Lupercalia, the men randomly chose a woman's name from a jar to be coupled with them sexually for the duration of the festival. Often the couple stays together until the following year's festival. Many actually fell in love and married, so there was a whole lot of fornication ties to this. Over time, nakedness during Lupercalia lost popularity and the festival became more chaste, if still undignified, and women were whipped on their hands by fully clothed men. Then comes Saint Valentine. There are several legends surrounding the life of Saint Valentine. The most common one is that on February 14, during the 3rd century AD, a man named Valentine was executed by the Roman Emperor Claudius II after being imprisoned for assisting persecuted Christians and secretly marrying Christian couples in love. Sorry guys for all the mistakes. It's very late. It's almost midnight. As the story goes, during Valentine's imprisonment, he tried converting Claudius to Christianity. Claudius became enraged and ordered Valentine to reject his faith or be killed. He refused to forsake his faith, so Valentine was beheaded. Legend also tells of another story that happened during Valentine's imprisonment after he tutored a girl named Julia, the blind daughter of his jailer. The legend states God restored Julia's sight after she and Valentine prayed together. On the eve of his execution, Valentine supposedly penned a note to Julia and signed it, "From your Valentine." Some historians believe more than one man named Valentine was executed by Claudius II. Despite the ambiguity surrounding Valentine and his life, the Catholic Church declared him a saint and listed him in Roman martyrology as being martyred on February 14. Thanks to Saint Valentine's reputation as a patron of lovers, he became synonymous with romance. In the late 5th century AD, Pope Gelasius I eliminated the pagan celebration of Lupercalia and declared February 14 a day to celebrate the martyrdom of Saint Valentine instead, although it's highly unlikely he intended the day to commemorate love and passion. In fact, some modern biblical scholars warn Christians not to celebrate Valentine's Day at all, since it's thought to be based on pagan rituals, and that it is. It's true Valentine's Day uses some of Lupercalia's symbols, intentionally or not, such as the color red, which represented a blood sacrifice during Lupercalia, and the color white, which signifies the milk used to wipe the blood clean and represents new life and procreation. So then we're going to move on to Cupid, right? Because that's one of the other big symbols of Valentine's Day. Who is Cupid? Cupid dates all the way back to Greek and Roman mythology. While it is hard to find the exact date that Greek mythology began, it was depicted in art during the geometric period between 900 and 700 BCE. Greek mythology predates Roman mythology, which emerged in the Hellenistic period between 323 to 31 BCE. When Roman mythology was created, it took the stories from Greek mythology and reimagined them, and that includes Cupid. While the stories told in the two mythologies are largely similar, the names of the gods and goddesses are almost always changed, and Cupid is no exemption. Cupid's Greek name was Eros. Okay, so Cupid is known for being the god of erotic love and desire. The name Cupid is actually the Roman version of his name, and the Greek version of his name is Eros, and he is also known in Latin poetry as Amor. Greek gods that have wings are often called messengers, like Hermes, the messenger of the gods, and Cupid is also regarded as a messenger of love, and he's also a god, right? In relation to love, Cupid's wings symbolize the flighty nature of passion, and they represent lovers who often change their minds, moving quickly in and out of love, essentially flying to and from each other. Now, I want you to remember what I mentioned earlier about what happened during the festival of Lupercalia, how people would be coupled together, and then they would only be together for a year and then change partners the next year. Or maybe they would actually fall in love with the person that they had been randomly coupled with, and they would just be married for however long they wanted. Cupid's depiction as a childlike god implies that he is mischievous like many children, and he plays with hearts as other children play with toys, recklessly and without any regard for consequences. It was thought that Cupid, when It was thought that when Cupid shot one of his golden arrows, its target would instantly fall uncontrollably in love with the first person it saw, and these arrows symbolize true love and fate. However, since Cupid has a mischievous side, he wasn't always running around spreading love and happiness. His second type of arrow, the leaded arrow, has the ability to make its recipient hate the first person it saw. These leaded arrows symbolize the pain of falling in love. People are literally shot with the arrows, implying that love is a wound of the heart, and in some cases, when Cupid shoots his leaded arrows, love hurts. Images of Cupid shooting arrows either represent Cupid's trickery or status as a messenger of true love. Like most of Cupid's symbols, his arrows can be interpreted as both good and bad. Then comes the story of Apollo and Daphne. In one of his more prideful and devious moments, Cupid struck the god Apollo with the golden arrow of love, causing him to fall in love with the river nymph Daphne. He then struck Daphne with a leaded arrow, causing her to feel hatred toward Apollo. That doesn't sound like the kind of chaos that God, as in the God that we serve, Yahweh, would want to create. Only a demon would do something like that. This tragic love story ended after much chase, with Daphne literally being turned into a tree and Apollo left to forever grieve the object of his affection. While we now associate the arrows of Cupid with love and matchmaking, they weren't always used for good. Okay, so I hope that you're better informed now about these holidays that you people are out here celebrating, holidays that do not glorify God, holidays that are not rooted in truth, in the word of God. That's what I'm referring to as truth, and things that he obviously would tell you to come out of. So again, do more research on this and stop acting like the world, okay? I do hope that you have a blessed day, and next I'm going to be covering Easter and also just other pagan holidays like Halloween and Christmas. What else? I'll just be releasing the videos as the Lord leads. So be blessed and encouraged in Yeshua's name. Bye.